By the time you see this, it's almost June, and I'm gonna be 40 years old. Nothing really much have planned except maybe go to the Monster Trucks show. That's in the neighboring town. Awesome. One thing I did recently, the time of this recording, in fact I think it's going to be a multi-part segment. I signed my, of course I talk about my struggles in dating, struggles with women. So I went and bite the bullet and signed up for speed dating. And something I've wanted to do before, but never really got to it because tiny town like the capital city don't get much creative output. So the local brewery company, had their thing on their Facebook page saying, "Hey, single, want to do speed dating? Sign up by May 16th, and you might be entered." So, give it all my information. If I get selected, oh well, it's more material for me to work on. If I get selected, and my biggest fear is kind of getting all F's, all no's. I wish at this being almost 40, it's par for the course, So what I can gather, it's not like in the movies. And you have a little piece of paper, your name tag. Of course, I'm going to use my actual name. But you get yes, no, and some notes. I kind of wonder if I'm going to get one yes. Of course, they're doing like hey, if Susie Q says yes to you and you like to her, hey, we're going to give her your information, yada yada yada. Of course, I'm just going to check yes, yes, yes. Unless they're like really flaming liberal, then nah, nothing against flaming liberals. I don't want to hear it. Yeah. And like I said, what's the worst? No, 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 no. Of course, the other thing is I may not be selected because they have more men than women. It has needs equal balance. Who knows? It could be just there's 10 women and there's 11 men. And I might be off. I'll be outside looking in. Of course. I guess that's my lot in life. Be lonely, sad. I mean, I'm not lonely, just, not having anybody. Yelling at the TV, watching reruns of Alf. Yeah, oh well. Who knows what may transpire in the next couple weeks. If anything happens, I'll eventually post it here. Of course. Like I said, I need the material. I need material for this book dating book I'm trying to write. I've been trying for eons. That's one thing about. Gosh, I could really, if I was living in a bigger city like St. Louis, Kansas City, Chicago, I literally could have done a male Sex in the City telling. But now I'm stuck in this crummy small town where once again it's that time of year and another car went into another building. You would think people will throw a few extra bucks and make a fence or a brick wall or something, so that wouldn't happen. when you were living on the corner. Anyways, so here's the story. Ted Turner died. I actually kind of got sad, even though he was like 86 years old. But Ted Turner's been as a child on the 90s, I like to say. His program has been with me all my life through TNT and TBS. And a lot of others. And the guy really accomplished a lot in 86 years. Granted, he had a little help from his dad. But, you know, he changed this shape of television forever. So, I actually wrote down some notes. These are inconclusive notes. So, let's begin. So, he passed away at 86. Long, healthy life. Good for him. Good for him. He was born in Sin City, Cincinnati, Ohio. So, hey, maybe that's why I liked him. He's part of the greatest state in the Union, Ohio. Unfortunately, he was married to Jane Fonda for like 10 years. And apparently, I don't know if it was true or not, but they couldn't run Barbarella on TNT or TBS or on Monster Vision. Probably on Monster Vision because I guess Joe Bob Briggs really wanted to show Barbarella. Jane Fonda was in Barbarella in 1968. And I guess maybe there's a no. Don't know how true that is, but it was a running joke. It was WTBS in 1970. It was a UHF station, so it wasn't widespread. It was like a low band frequency, I believe. That's what UHF is. Why did I have a weird accent right then and there? 80, he launched CNN. This is CNN. And was now, you know, a major network, worth billions and billions of dollars. Used to be a trusted news network. He actually made a doomsday video. It's actually on YouTube. Just in case shit hits the fan, you know, this doomsday video would play, continuously. Go search it out. It's really interesting. He bought MGM movies pre-1986. So, like Rocky, like a lot, if you're old as I am, you know, Rocky movies, you know, Police Academy, just name a few, or I could just name two. He actually tried to colorize some movies. There was like a big backlash at the time, like black and white movies. Say you took The Maltese Falcon and just filled in the colorize, because a lot of those pre-1986 movies are black and white. And much like soft-headed teenagers today, they don't want to watch black and white movies, so he had this idea to colorize all the movies. Kind of like the idea of the 1954 Phantom of the Opera. I think there's a black and white version and a color version. Much like there's a color version of Night of the Living Dead. There's actually two colors. There's a full color version and black and white. Which at the time, late 60s, you still had a black and white television. It wasn't until early 70s or so. No, maybe it was late 60s. Actually, it was pretty late 60s, because there was an episode of Wonder Years where Wayne wanted a color TV for dinner. You wanted a color TV dinner? What? No, he wanted color TV dinner for Christmas. That was the whole plot of the episode. So, just think of it, all those old 60 movies that were in black and white, he, trying to colorize them. Apparently one really got up in Roger Ebert's hind end was he was trying to colorize Casablanca. Casablanca, said during WW2, or as that senator in Minnesota would say, World War 11. But there was a big backlash over that, and that kind of put a stop to that real quick. Yeah. Well, also he was a big sportsman. He raced in the America Cup. America Cup is a boat race, a yacht race. I think it's out in California, like off San Diego or something like that. I think he actually won America's Cup once or twice. So it was like America Cup. To describe it is literally a really, really rich person's only sport, and that's really I can think of. Maybe lacrosse, but even blue collar people would watch lacrosse. But America's race is more of a stuffy shirt sport, and it's a boat race, yacht race, more example. He purchased Jim Crockett Promotion Wrestling. Jim Crockett and Mid Atlantic was on WTBS, WCW, World Saturday Night Wrestling, 6:05 every Saturday night except whenever the damn Braves are on. So literally from early 70s till 2001, wrestling. Ted Turner really led pro wrestling. Rumor has it there was a few times he was in the Atlanta studios walking the Raptors in Saturday mornings, because they kept Saturday mornings air that night. He's walked in the Raptors zone watching wrestling, and that's the rumor. That's in the rumor mill. And mention of wrestling, literally, as long as Ted Turner was in charge of WTBS, TNT, eventually, wrestling we always has a home. And unfortunately, the AOL Time Warner merger really killed World Championship Wrestling, really killed TBS, TNT. It's been its coverage is done to death. You can look it up on your own, but it really was sad when WCW went off the air, because I really liked WCW. That was the real promotion I loved to watch. He launched the Go-Go Games. Go-Go Games was some kind of right offhand. It was almost like the Special Olympics in a way, but also he was the Braves owner. He has a World Series ring, so in those 90s years, that was all Ted Turner's doing. He actually was a manager as in coach for a couple of games. And when the Braves moved from Milwaukee to Atlanta, they had this TP in Atlanta Stadium, and TP was up there forever. But when they took away the TP, they lost like 20 games or something like that. So, but eventually put it back. But yeah, he has a World Series ring. I think he should be in the Cooperstown too. That'd be funny, in Cooperstown. Who knows? He might be in the WWE Hall of Fame one day. Yeah, actually, I guess because I don't have Netflix, I don't watch Netflix. Apparently on SmackDown, which is on USA. I don't have USA. they did a, R.I.P. Ted Turner thing, which that's a whole kick caboodle when you go into the WCW, WWF Monday Night War thing. So, and he also owned the Atlanta Hawks basketball team. Very classy, Joe. Of course, he launched Cartoon Network, which dissolved it recently. Cartoon Network was part of the MGM bundle he bought in '86. So in like '92, he launched Cartoon Network. Was awesome when I was a kid. And Captain Planet. Captain Planet was one of his brainchilds. It's one of those TV shows I watched as a kid. Apparently it was, little propaganda. Watching it now, it's a little, they have like, you know how G.I. Joe has like those G.I. Joe minute. It had kind of like that, except for Captain Planet and talking about the environment, which, yeah, you should reduce, reuse, recycle, and stuff like that. But also, it's like zero population stuff. It's like weird shit. I actually have the DVDs. I haven't gone through all the episodes, but now I'm really itching to watch Captain Planet. By the way, I still have my Captain Planet action figures. What was great about Captain Planet bad guys were the best. Rat Face, the big Hulk looking guy. I have the plane, I have Captain Planet. Yeah. I guess really say Captain Planet was a favorite when I was a child. As an adult, I don't know. Still, the jury's still out. So, maybe I'll watch Captain Planet while I'm editing this. Or, in fact, watch this week. I do really need to get into those episodes. I bought them for God's sakes. He launched TNT in '88. Great channel. TNT had football, basketball. I remember when the Rams moved to St. Louis, they had one Thursday night game. A Thursday night game. At Busch Stadium. It was like the last pro football game at Busch Stadium 2 in October of 1995, and I was on a national TV. Rams won that game against the Arlington Falcons. It was a divisional game too. Actually, it's on YouTube. Actually, it's one of my favorites games of that year. Like I say, he was married to Jane Fonda for 10 years between 1991 and 2001. Right in the heart of that, when it was WCW wrestling, and when Hulk Hogan jumped from the WWF in 1990, early '94 to mid-July of '94, the big match was Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan, these two titans of wrestling of the '80s. They were scheduled to do WrestleMania 8 2 years before, but Vince McMahon was too antiseptic. That's not even the right word. That's not the right syllables. But he kind of chickened out. Even though it was still a good match with Randy Savage. Flair and Savage always had good matches. Savage always had a good match with Hogan too. Anyways, so at the signing press conference for Bash at the Beach, 1994. This is on YouTube now on the WCW channel. There's a signing. You have Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan for the WCW Big Gold Belt, and Ted Turner is in the middle, much like years before when you had Jack Tunney with Hogan and Warrior, but this time it's Flair, Hogan. This time, actually, championship on the line. For the two big stars of two different companies in the 80s, it was such a big thing. Yeah. Of course, they always had a good matches with each other. That's personal opinion. So, yeah. I've been going out for a while. I know I talk a lot about Ted Turner. But there's really not much going on right now, back to back, with tapings. Like I said, it's middle of May. So, but I like to give a special shout out, as always, to Stella. I hope you're doing okay. I know it's a tough time right now, but love you, baby. Until next time. Ooh, I'm a busy guy. I'm a busy guy. Until next time, you play it pretty for Stella. You play it pretty for Stella. Apparently, Joe doesn't know how to talk today. Goodbye.